Okay, so this is going to be a tutorial video on pulling the starter, rebuilding the starter. This truck, when you turn the ignition on after the glow plugs heat up and you try to start it, it just sits there and clicks and clicks, and sometimes it'll fire up after several tries, sometimes it'll fire up on the first try, but once you go down the road to the gas station or wherever you're going and you stop and you get back in to start it up, then you're sitting there for 30 minutes having to click on it. So we're going to go ahead and pull the starter, rebuild that, show you guys how to do that, clean these battery terminals, replace the starter relay, and hopefully after all that is done, we will have her up and running again. Alright, I'll be back, guys. Alright, so this is going to be a teardown on a, I know I've got some parts already taken out, but this is a teardown on a 1996 2500 Dodge Cummins 12 valve starter rebuild kit on a factory starter. So 3 bolts hold the starter in. They're 10 millimeter. Once you get the starter out, just clean it up. Hit it with a little parts cleaner, brake cleaner, engine degreaser. I use this parts cleaner and degreaser Pro Series by CRC. And it blasted it all right off pretty much. Once you get the outside clean so that you can kind of handle things, this ends up sitting right here with this cap over the top, and then this is down inside of the center, and all it is I think it's a little bit smaller than a 10 millimeter, but this will end up sitting on top and these will be down inside of there, and they actually hold it to this piece right here. So you gotta take these out, both those pieces, and once you do that, this whole section here will come right out, and that will still be inside of it. Once you get this separated from the rest of the starter, pull this out, clean it up. It'll be pitch black. You won't even be able to see the copper on there, and then the steel up here. So again, I just hit it with a light metal brush, bristle brush, and some cleaner. Clean that up, clean the 2 bolts holding it in, and then the nut that is holding the ground on, which is connected right here. I believe that ended up being, it's a metric, but we used an 11/16 to pull that off of there. So once you got those cleaned, there are 2 Phillips screws on the top of this. Do not remove them until you're ready. Go ahead and pull those out. Mine were a little tight, so I had to use a chisel and just tap on it and break it loose a little bit with some of the PB Blast, and it came right off. Once you get it, this will be just corroded. Everything is going to be corroded. Clean it all up. Once you've cleaned this up, the cap up, go ahead and this will be the same way. It'll be pitch black. You probably won't even be able to see all the copper inside of there. No need to take the magnets out. Those are those little screws there holding the magnets in. Go ahead and just hit this all with cleaner, light bristle brush. Just clean it all up, clean all the contacts up. Make sure that those 4 in the center are cleaned up, because they're actually what ends up contacting the copper over here. So just clean it all up. Once you get it cleaned up, you can go ahead and put everything back together as far as this goes, because the rebuild kit that we got is inside of here. All the pieces are inside of here, the plunger, so we're going to have to end up replacing that. But it's a good idea. Go ahead and clean it. This is just all corroded inside of here. Everything is just filthy, so if you're going to be replacing everything on the rebuilding the starter, you might as well just have everything nice and clean. Make sure there's nothing blocking on any of these contacts. And yeah, so I will be right back after I get that cleaned up, finish cleaning all this up, and then piecing it back together, and we'll start working on this. So real quick, I forgot to mention, So when you're putting that little piece I had sitting in there back in, those 4 contacts that were in here, you're actually going to have to depress those on all 4 sides to be able to get this to fit in there. You can kind of see them. You can kind of see them right here. So there's 4 of these, and they depress, and they're called brushes, and they have to end up sitting on the copper shaft in there as you're sliding it in. So what I did is I depressed it over the bearing right here, and then once I got it there, I depressed 2 sides, got it dropped in on the edge here, and then depressed the other 2 sides, and it slid right down. So I just wanted to show you guys that. We'll be back when we start tearing this apart. I keep forgetting everything. Okay, here we go. So I'm gonna set this down real quick. So before I started, I actually ended up marking a line on the outside and on the cap so I could just kind of line things up, which theoretically don't need, because there's only one side that the ground cable is going to slip over, right down there. But it's just habit when I'm taking stuff like this apart. Anyways, once you get ready to put this cap on top, you can actually grab the bottom down here and you can spin the whole shaft inside to help you get the Phillips screws and the bolts that go down inside of there. You can spin it to try to help you to get that all lined up in there, because otherwise you're just going to sit there and mess around with it. I mean, it's almost common sense. You just grab the bottom shaft and spin and line it up. But if you don't know how to do this, or your first time, it comes in handy to know. Okay, so once you remove the cap, these little tiny bolts here, there's 3 of them. They got a Phillips head on the end of them. Once you remove those and the gasket, the plunger is in here. There's a little spring, so make sure it doesn't come flying out or you don't lose it. Pull the plunger out and you can see that contact right there is just toast. I mean, it is fried. This one's getting there. It's pretty damn thin. So on the side here there is, what did they end up beating, 17 millimeter or 11/16. So once you take these off, you can pull those little contacts out. The kit I have comes with all this good stuff in it, so clean it out, clean everything up, put all the new contacts in, and we will be right back. Okay, so in here on this left side where the longer replacement bolt goes, man, I can't get this thing to focus, there is a piece of paper in there. Leave the paper. Also, there's an O-ring on the old bolt that goes behind this piece right here. Goes to the outside, just helps keeps moisture out of the starter. Make sure that you put it back on. I have it back on the outside right there. And then this little cup and the washer that's down inside of there, or the kit comes with, goes right back on in the nut. Alright, so we got the starter all back together. I'm going to go ahead and put it back in. I also am going to go ahead and clean the battery contacts. I got a starter relay from O'Reilly and they gave me the wrong one. So what I ended up doing is on the back side here you have the starter relay and the trailer relay. So for right now, all I did is I swapped the trailer relay over to the starter relay. So I'll clean these battery contacts, put the starter back in, and we will be right back and make sure the truck fires right up. Bye. Okay, so we got the starter rebuilt, cleaned up, swapped out the starter relay, cleaned the battery terminals, and now we shall see if she fires up. 181,000 original miles on this. Look at that. Boom. Sounds good. Alright. And that is how you do that. I think the next thing to do is a little tune up. Maybe swap the air filter out. This still has the muffler on it. I think a catalytic converter maybe. For sure the muffler. So at some point we got to get this thing breathing a little bit better. But for right now, runs great. It's good to hear it start up on the first time. Before it was just clicking and clicking and clicking. You'd have to sit there for 30 minutes clicking it before you could get it to start. But here's that one contact that was the absolute worst of the bunch. It's supposed to be a lot thicker than that and a lot bigger. Here's the other one for reference. You can see just how thick that contact is. Just starting to wear a little bit on this side, but that one side is just completely shot. Just toast, paper thin, barely anything there. And the plunger is just all corroded. And so yeah, that's it on this video. Thanks for watching.